Let me ask you something today. What if happiness isn't something that happens to us, but something we fight for? Think about it. If happiness only came when life was perfect, none of us would ever smile again. Because the truth is, life is never perfect. Life will test you. Life will break you. Life will take things away from you that you thought you could never live without. But in those very moments, you are faced with a choice. Will you surrender to the pain, or will you push yourself to find joy anyway? Happiness is not the absence of problems. Happiness is the strength to rise above them. When your days are heavy and your nights feel endless, happiness becomes an act of courage. It's easy to be happy when money is flowing, health is strong, and everything is working in your favor. But real strength, real growth, real faith is choosing to smile when your world feels like it's falling apart. You see, your mind is powerful. If you focus only on what's missing, you'll drown in disappointment. But if you train your heart to see even the smallest blessings, like the breath in your lungs, the people who love you, the chance to live another day, you will discover that happiness is never gone. It just waits for you to notice it. When life is hard, pushing yourself to be happy doesn't mean ignoring your struggles. It means not letting your struggles define you. It means saying, yes, I'm hurting. Yes, I'm tired. But I will not give up on my joy. I will not let my pain decide my future. That is power. That is resilience. That is the kind of spirit that cannot be broken. So today, make the choice. Even in your darkest moments, look for light. Even in your deepest sadness, find reasons to be grateful. And even when life feels impossible, push yourself to be happy, not because it's easy, but because you are stronger than anything trying to hold you down. Happiness is often misunderstood as something that simply comes to us when circumstances are right, when the bills are paid, when health is strong, when relationships are flourishing, and when life seems smooth. But the truth is, life will never reach a stage of complete perfection where everything aligns at once. If we keep waiting for that moment, we will be waiting forever. Happiness cannot be postponed until all the storms are over. It is a decision, a mindset, a conscious choice to embrace joy, even when the situation around us does not seem joyful. This is where the real test of character begins. Understanding that happiness is not the reward for a perfect life, but the fuel that allows us to endure an imperfect one. When difficulties come, it is natural to feel overwhelmed and consumed by them. The mind wants to magnify pain, because pain screams louder than peace. Yet even in those moments, you have power over where you direct your focus. You can either dwell on what you lack, or you can choose to see what remains. Think about it. Every breath you take, every sunrise that greets you, every small act of kindness you witness, is a reason to smile. These may feel small compared to the weight of your problems, but they are seeds of happiness waiting to grow if you nurture them. Choosing happiness does not mean you deny your struggles. It means you refuse to let those struggles rob you of the joy you still deserve to feel. Every person carries battles that are invisible to others. Some carry heartbreak, some financial stress, some health issues, and others emotional scars that never seem to fade. If happiness were dependent only on the absence of these struggles, no one would ever truly be happy. That is why happiness must be built on a deeper foundation. It comes from acknowledging pain, but still choosing not to live in it forever. It comes from saying, yes, this hurts, but I still choose to rise above it. That decision may not change the external situation immediately, but it changes the internal strength with which you face it. Think of people who have gone through unimaginable hardships, loss, failure, rejection, illness, and yet still carry a smile, still spread kindness, still find joy in little things. They prove to us that happiness is not chained to circumstances. It is an inner resource, available to anyone willing to claim it. The difference between those who find peace and those who drown in despair is often this choice. They have trained their minds to seek light even in the darkest caves. Happiness as a choice is also about discipline. The human brain tends to lean toward negativity because it's easier to focus on what's wrong. It requires effort to turn your attention to gratitude, to shift your thoughts to what is working, to remind yourself that not all is lost. This effort is what makes happiness powerful. It is something you push for, something you practice until it becomes second nature. The more you choose happiness in small ways, the stronger your resilience grows for the bigger battle. Another truth is that happiness chosen in hard times carries a different weight than happiness felt in easy times. Smiling when everything is good is ordinary. Smiling when everything is collapsing is extraordinary. That is the kind of happiness that inspires others, that spreads strength, that reminds people they too can endure. Your choice to be happy even in hardship does not only benefit you, it uplifts everyone around you. It shows them that joy is still possible, that pain does not have the final word. Life will always bring its share of storms. Some will be light rains, others will feel like hurricanes. You cannot control when they come, how long they last, or what damage they leave behind, but you can control how you stand in the middle of them. You can choose to let them drown you, or you can choose to hold on to happiness as your lifeboat. This choice does not make the storm disappear, but it makes you stronger, calmer, and more capable of surviving it. So happiness is not about waiting for a perfect tomorrow. It is about finding reasons to smile today, in the middle of imperfections, in the middle of pain, in the middle of everything that seems broken. It is a conscious choice you must keep making, over and over again. That choice might be difficult, but it is always worth it, because at the end of the day, life is not about how perfectly it unfolds. It is about how courageously you decide to live it with joy, with gratitude, and with the unshakable belief that happiness is yours to claim no matter what. It is easy to carry a smile when everything is working in your favor, when the job is secured, the family is healthy, and the future looks promising. Joy feels natural and almost effortless. But life does not stay in that state for long. The reality of being human is that storms come, often without warning, and sometimes with a force that shakes everything you thought was steady. In those moments, your true strength is revealed, not in how loudly you laugh during the sunshine, but in how you hold yourself when the darkness surrounds you. Strength is not tested when life is comfortable. It is tested when you are tired, when you are broken, when you feel like nothing is left to fight for. Those are the moments that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. But it takes courage, resilience, and faith to choose happiness when every part of you is tempted to surrender to despair. That choice is what defines true inner strength. Think about the people you admire the most. They are rarely the ones who had an easy life with no challenge. They are the ones who faced struggles, heartbreak, and failures, yet refused to give up. They pushed themselves to smile when they had reasons to cry. They stood tall even when the weight of the world pressed down on them. Their strength was not measured by how problem-free their lives were, but by how they rose above the problems that tried to bury them. That is the kind of power that leaves a mark, not just on their own hearts, but on everyone who witnesses. Happiness in hard times is not about pretending pain does not exist. It is about choosing not to let pain become the only story you tell yourself. Strength means acknowledging that life is difficult, but refusing to let difficulty define your identity. Yes, you may feel broken, but you are not defeated. Yes, you may feel tired, but you are not finished. When you carry that mindset, happiness becomes more than just an emotion. It becomes proof of your resilience. Many people think that strength is about hiding weakness or never falling down. But true strength is about rising every single time you fall, no matter how heavy the fall was. It is about getting up one more time than life knocks you down. That act of rising requires a kind of hope that many overlook. Happiness in its purest form is a declaration that says, I refuse to be crushed. Even when the body is weak and the heart is weary, the spirit can still stand tall by holding on to joy. When you push yourself to be happy in moments of hardship, you are not just surviving, you are proving to yourself that life cannot steal your spirit. This is a powerful realization. The world may take away your money, your health, or your comfort, but it cannot take away your will to smile unless you give it permission. Holding on to joy in pain is a way of saying that your soul is stronger than any. That decision becomes a shield, protecting you from being destroyed by bitterness, anger, or hopelessness. There is something deeply inspiring about someone who carries light in the midst of darkness. Their happiness becomes contagious. It gives others hope, reminding them that no matter how severe their struggles are, there is still a way to rise. Your strength shown through your choice to be happy becomes a gift, not only to yourself, but also to those around you. You might not even realize how much your resilience is encouraging someone else to keep going. Life will always test you. That is not a possibility. It is a guarantee. But every test is also an opportunity to grow stronger, to deepen your resilience, and to show the world that your spirit cannot be broken. Happiness in good times is pleasant, but happiness in hard times is powerful. It proves that you are not controlled by your circumstances. You are guided by your courage. That is the kind of strength that cannot be taken away no matter what life throws your way. Your mind is the most powerful tool you possess, and it has the ability to either lift you toward happiness or bury you under despair. Every thought you entertain plants a seed in your heart, and that seed grows into the reality you live. If you constantly focus on what you do not have, what went wrong or what might fail, you create a mental environment where happiness cannot breathe. But when you direct your attention toward what is still good, what is still working, and what blessings remain, you create space for joy to thrive, even when life is far from perfect. It is human nature to notice problems before positive. Our brains are wired to focus on danger, loss, and risk, because that is how survival instincts developed. But survival is not the same as living. If you want to truly live, not just exist, you must train your mind to shift its focus. This shift is not automatic. It requires conscious effort. The ability to reframe thoughts is the difference between someone who drowns in sorrow and someone who learns to swim through storms. Consider two people facing the same situation. One loses their job and immediately spirals into despair, convinced their life is ruined. The other also loses their job, but chooses to see it as an opportunity to grow, to discover new paths, or to build something better. The circumstance is the same, but the mindset is different. One sees only failure, the other sees possibility. This shows that happiness is less about what happens to us, and more about how we interpret what happens. Your reality is often a reflection of your perspective. The beauty of the mind is that it can be trained like a muscle. If you constantly feed it with negative thoughts, it grows weaker, more hopeless, more easily defeated. But if you discipline yourself to look for blessings, even small ones, you strengthen your mental resilience. Over time, this habit becomes natural. You begin to notice things others overlook: the warmth of sunlight on your face, the laughter of a child, the comfort of a meal, the love of a friend. These are not minor details. They are sources of joy that build a foundation for inner peace. This does not mean ignoring the hardships around. Pain, loss, and struggle are very real. Pretending they do not exist would only suppress emotions and create more harm. But choosing to focus on blessings alongside the struggles prevents pain from consuming your entire vision. It allows you to say, yes, life is difficult, but not everything is broken. That single shift in focus opens the door to hope, and hope is what keeps happiness alive. The mind also has the ability to magnify whatever you give attention to. If you stare too long at your problems, they appear bigger than they are. They grow until they block your view of everything else. But if you shift your attention to gratitude, to solutions, to possibilities, those same problems begin to shrink. They may not disappear, but they lose their power to dominate your entire outlook. By controlling your focus, you take back control over your happiness. Think of happiness as sunlight. If you always draw the curtains closed by filling your mind with negative thoughts, you will live in darkness, even when the sun is shining. But if you open the window, the light floods in. That act of opening the window is your choice. Your shift in focus. It does not change the weather outside, but it changes the atmosphere inside. That is the role of the mind in shaping reality. Life will always present challenges. There will always be bills to pay, relationships to mend, health to protect, and uncertainties to face. But within all that chaos, your mind has the final say in whether you live joyfully or miserably. By choosing to focus on blessings, by practicing gratitude, and by training your thoughts to seek light, You reclaim the power to shape your reality. Happiness is not something the world gives you, it is something your mind allows you to experience. Life has a way of throwing challenges at us that feel so overwhelming they begin to define the way we see ourselves. When hardships strike, whether it's the loss of a job, the breakdown of a relationship, or a personal failure, it is easy to let those struggles shape our identity. Many people begin to believe that they are their pain, that they are their mistakes, that their lives will forever be marked by what went wrong. But this is one of the greatest lies. Hardship tries to convince us that struggles may shape moments of your life, but they do not define who you are unless you allow them to. Every difficulty you face is temporary, no matter how permanent it feels in the moment. A storm may rage fiercely, but eventually it passes. Yet some people choose to carry the storm within them long after it is gone. They hold on to anger, resentment, bitterness and despair, making the struggle a part of their identity. This is where life becomes heavier than it needs to be. Your struggles are experiences, not definitions. You went through them, but you are not them. You are far greater than any single challenge that has crossed your path. To rise above struggles, you must learn to separate who you are from what you are going through. Pain is real, but it does not get to rewrite your worth. Failure may happen, but it does not erase your potential. Disappointments come, but they do not cancel out your ability to dream again. The greatest act of resilience is looking at a hardship and saying, this happened to me, but it does not define me. I am more than this moment, more than this pain. That perspective is what keeps you moving forward, instead of getting stuck in the quicksand of despair. When you let struggles define you, you trap yourself in a prison with invisible walls. You begin to act and think as though the hardship is your entire story. But the truth is, it is only one chapter in a much larger book. Just because you are in a painful chapter now does not mean the story ends here. You have the power to turn the page. Each day is an opportunity to write something new, to build something better, to grow stronger. By refusing to let struggles define you, you take back ownership of your own life. It is also important to remember that the way you see yourself influences the way others see you. If you carry your struggles as your identity, people will treat you as someone defined by pain. But if you carry yourself with dignity, resilience, and determination, even in the face of hardship, people will see strength in you. More importantly, you will see strength in yourself. The confidence that comes from not being chained to your struggles builds a foundation for long-term happiness. Letting go of struggles as your identity does not mean forgetting them or pretending they never happened. It means learning from them, allowing them to teach you, but not allowing them to imprison you. Every struggle holds a lesson: patience, humility, resilience, compassion, gratitude. These lessons can shape you into a wiser, stronger person. But there is a difference between being shaped by struggles and being defined by them. One empowers you, the other limits you. When life is hard, it is natural to feel weighed down, but the choice always remains yours. Will you let the struggle write your story, or will you write your own story in spite of the struggle? The people who inspire the world are not those who never faced hardships. They are the ones who refused to let hardships become their identity. They turned pain into strength, setbacks into comebacks, and struggles into stepping stones. So whenever life feels unbearable, remind yourself, this does not define me. Your worth is not tied to what went wrong. Your future is not chained to your past. You are not your mistakes, not your failures, not your struggles. You are the strength that rises after them. You are the courage that keeps moving forward. You are the resilience that turns hardship into hope. And as long as you remember this truth, no struggle can ever hold you down. Gratitude is one of the most powerful forces that can transform the way you experience life, especially when things are not going the way you hoped. In difficult times, the natural instinct of the mind is to focus on everything that is missing, everything that went wrong, and everything that hurt. It becomes easy to drown in complaints, bitterness, or despair because pain demands attention. Yet in the middle of that storm, gratitude acts as an anchor. It pulls you back to the truth that even though life is heavy, there are still blessings surrounding you. Blessings that are often overlooked, until you pause to notice them. When you choose gratitude, you are not denying your struggles. You are deciding that your struggles will not blind you to the good that still exists. You may be hurting, but you are still breathing. You may have lost something, but you still have people who care for you. You may be carrying burdens, but there are still moments of peace, opportunities to grow, and simple joys waiting to be embraced. Gratitude shifts your perspective from "I have nothing" to "I still have enough to keep going." That shift is what fuels resilience. Resilience is not the absence of pain, but the strength to continue despite it. And gratitude feeds that strength. When you start focusing on even the smallest blessings, a kind word, a warm meal, a quiet morning, the ability to wake up to a new day, you realize that your life is not as empty as your hardships try to convince you it is. Gratitude does not erase the weight of your problems, but it lightens the way you carry them. It gives you hope that there is still something worth holding on to, even in the darkest seasons. Think of gratitude as a lens. Without it, your vision is clouded by what went wrong, and everything looks bleak. With it, the same life looks brighter, because you begin to notice things that were always there but hidden by negativity. That shift in focus empowers you to stand strong. For example, someone facing financial difficulties may focus only on what they cannot buy, leading to feelings of shame or failure. But when they choose gratitude, they may see the value in the roof over their head, the food on their table, or the supportive relationships that money cannot buy. That perspective gives them courage to move forward instead of drowning in despair. Gratitude also changes the way you respond to setbacks. Instead of seeing failure as the end, you begin to see it as a teacher. Instead of viewing loss as pure destruction, you start to recognize the lessons it leaves behind. Patience, strength, humility, and empathy. These lessons are not small. They build you into a person capable of facing greater challenges with confidence. Without gratitude, pain is just pain. With gratitude, pain becomes growth. Another powerful truth about gratitude is that it multiplies joy. The more you notice and appreciate what you already have, the more reasons you find to be thankful. This creates a cycle that builds resilience naturally. Even science supports this. People who practice gratitude consistently report higher levels of happiness, less stress, and a greater ability to cope with adversity. Gratitude doesn't just make you feel better in the moment. It strengthens your mind and heart for the long run. It also has the power to heal relationships. When you express gratitude toward others, even in small ways, it deepens bonds and reminds both you and them that connection matters more than hardship. Gratitude shifts your attention outward, reminding you that life is bigger than your struggle. It helps you see beauty in the people, places, and moments that are still part of your journey. Life will always present difficulties. Some seasons will be heavier than others, and some losses will cut deeper than expected. But gratitude gives you a way to endure without losing yourself. It reminds you that even in pain you are surrounded by blessings. Even in loss, you still have reasons to be thankful. And even in the darkest valleys, there is always light to be found if you choose to look for it. Gratitude does not remove hardship, but it transforms the way you experience. It gives you the resilience to walk through storms without forgetting the sunshine. It gives you hope to keep moving forward when giving up seems easy. And most importantly, it reminds you that no matter how difficult life gets, there is always something to be grateful for, and that truth alone can carry you through. Happiness is often misunderstood as something fragile, something that only appears when conditions are perfect. But the deeper truth is that happiness, especially in hard times, is one of the bravest decisions a person can make. Choosing to be happy when everything around you is falling apart is not weakness or denial. It is strength, resilience, and courage in its purest form. It is easy to be swept away by sadness, anger, or despair when life feels unfair, but it takes remarkable inner power to look pain in the eye and say, "You will not steal my joy." There is a quiet kind of bravery in deciding to smile even when the weight of the world rests on your shoulders. It is not about ignoring what hurts. It is about refusing to surrender your spirit to it. That choice is an act of rebellion against despair.
a declaration that you are still in control of your inner world even if the outer world feels uncontrollable. In that sense, happiness becomes more than just an emotion. It becomes a weapon of strength, a shield against the storms of life. Every person reaches moments where the pain feels louder than hope. Maybe it is a broken relationship, maybe a dream that collapsed, maybe a series of disappointments that seem endless. In those moments, the easiest response is to give up and let bitterness take root. But the brave few are those who push back against that darkness. They decide that life is too short to be wasted in despair. They remind themselves that happiness is not about what is happening, but about how they choose to respond to it. That decision requires courage because it often goes against every natural feeling of the moment. Think about how much bravery it takes to wake up after failure and still say, "I will try again." Or how much courage is required to face loss and still say, "I am thankful for what I had." These are not easy choices. They demand strength of character, emotional discipline, and an unshakable will to rise above circumstances. Choosing happiness in such times is not shallow, it is heroic. Happiness as a decision also sets you free. If you wait for perfect conditions before you allow yourself to be happy, you will spend your entire life waiting. There will always be something missing, something broken, something uncertain. But if you can decide to be happy now with what you have, in the middle of your struggles, you free yourself from the illusion that happiness is somewhere far away. You take ownership of your joy instead of letting it depend on circumstances you cannot control. This decision also influences the people around you. Courage is contagious. When you choose happiness in the face of difficulty, others notice. They see strength where they expect to see defeat. Your bravery becomes a light for those who are still trapped in their darkness. Without even realizing it, you inspire others to believe that they too can rise above their pain. In this way, your personal decision to be happy becomes a gift to the world. It is important to understand that choosing happiness does not mean you will never feel sadness, anger, or grief. Those emotions are part of being human. Courage is not the absence of negative feelings. It is the decision not to be ruled by them. Happiness in hard times is not about pretending everything is fine. It is about saying, "Things are not fine, but I will not let that stop me from finding moments of joy, gratitude, and peace." That is true bravery. Life will test you in ways you cannot always prepare for. It will break plans, shake dreams, and sometimes leave you questioning your purpose. But in those moments, the strongest decision you can make is to claim happiness as your own, to stand tall and declare that no matter what life takes away, it cannot take away your choice to be joyful. That is the kind of strength that turns ordinary people into extraordinary examples of resilience. So when life is hard and happiness feels impossible, remember this: choosing to be happy anyway is not weakness. It is the bravest thing you can do. It is proof that no storm, no pain, and no setback has the power to crush your spirit. It is the declaration that you are stronger than your circumstances. And it is this very choice, made in the hardest moments, that reveals the true depth of your courage.